The blackout wasn't just digital. 20 minutes after Mark and Dana's live broadcast ended, Signal's 7 servers across North America went down simultaneously. Not hack-jammed, satellite uplinks scrambled, mobile signals muted, DNS routes rerouted. For anyone trying to replay the Wahlberg broadcast, all they saw now was static and a red triangle with the words, "Stream unavailable." Content under investigation for national security violations. In Brooklyn, Mateo stared at the screen in disbelief. That wasn't a takedown. That was a full-spectrum wipe. Mark stood in the shadows behind him, so they've moved to containment. Dana was already pacing, checking other channels. We had over 7 million real-time viewers. Hundreds of thousands downloaded the file mirrors. They can't silence all of them, but she was wrong. News broke, fast and crooked. CNN ran a segment that night. Wahlberg caught in deep fake hoax. Fox followed with actor or agitator. Inside Wahlberg's viral meltdown. MSNBC called him a pawn in a foreign disinfo game. The narrative was being rewritten in real time. The leaked documents were declared fabricated, their metadata inconsistent. A new security expert emerged from nowhere, claiming the Romania-based footage was repurposed military training content from 2009. Then came the smear files, old court documents from Mark's teenage years, blurred mugshots. Fake emails allegedly showing him negotiating with foreign intelligence freelancers. Even a forged voice memo where he supposedly said, "Let's burn it all down." Dana's voice shook with rage. They're poisoning the well. Classic contamination strategy. Mateo turned from his console. We can still hit back, but we need a new vector. Mark leaned forward. What about the paper Irana promised? Dana's heart skipped. She hasn't sent it yet. Call her, Mark said. She tried. No signal, no answer. A second attempt routed to a blank tone, then a robotic voice. This number is no longer active. Dana looked up. They got to her. Meanwhile, in Bucharest, a private car rolled into a gated facility owned by Dorna Systems, a shell company listed under 5 layers of holding groups. Inside the car, Irana Popescu, bound, gagged, guarded by 2 men in civilian suits with tactical boots. They brought her into a concrete chamber beneath the facility. A woman in a gray coat greeted her with a cold smile. You shouldn't have shared that file, Irana. Irana's voice trembled. The world deserves to know. The woman's smile faded. The world deserves to feel safe. That's what we build. On the table in front of her lay the one document Irana had stolen, a printed copy of the EHRI Emotion Influence Grid. But now it was stamped retrieved. Back in New York, Mateo pulled up a new lead. A rogue coder in Berlin had cracked part of the EHRI code and posted a mirror link to Zero's Chi, a decentralized academic research site. Dana clicked the link. A new page opened. This wasn't just emotional influence programming. It was predictive behavior modeling. Each person was assigned a susceptibility score. Algorithms had been trained on billions of interactions, from political posts to Instagram likes. The system could tell when someone was most vulnerable to belief manipulation, down to the hour. They weren't just building narratives, they were planning reality in advance. Mark stared at the graph. It's not just that we're being told what to feel, it's that we're being scheduled to feel it. Dana nodded slowly. This is what happens when governments and entertainment merge. Suddenly, Mateo's console lit up red. Incoming trace. From where? Dana asked. He turned, eyes wide. DC Pentagon relay. Mark didn't flinch. They're coming. They abandoned the safe house 30 minutes later. Every file was wiped. Drives destroyed. Laptops crushed. Only one thing remained. A black flash. Drive an offline copy of the full leak, including metadata and emotional grid analysis. Mateo handed it to Mark. You get this to the right person, it all cracks open. Mark stared at it. Who's the right person? Dana replied without hesitation. Senator Clara Holt. It's an independent voice. Former Intelligence Oversight Chair. Quietly removed from her committee after questioning military media contracts. Unafraid, unbought. But she had vanished from the public eye. 6 months earlier, after a supposed health retreat, Dana looked at Mark. She never left. She's in Montana, disconnected, off-grid, waiting for the right moment to re-enter. Mark closed his fist around the drive. I'll get to her. Dana stepped closer. They'll watch every step. Kate, you can't go as you. Not now. Mark's eyes narrowed. Then I won't. Because if they could rewrite his story, he could write a new identity, expose the lie from the inside. The Montana sky stretched wide and cold over the gravel road. Mark's truck moved slow, tires crunching under the weight of more than just his mission. Beside him on the seat was the black flash drive. Everything they'd uncovered, pale, fire, the emotional influence grid, the behavioral timing codes was on that drive. It wasn't just evidence. It was proof of a war being fought with invisible weapons. The safe house was buried in a valley 10 miles outside of Missoula. No signal, no towers, just wind and pine, according to Dana. Senator Clara Holt had chosen this place because it was too boring to track and too quiet to survive surveillance. As Mark approached, a motion sensor camera blinked from behind a tree. Then the gate creaked open. The woman who stepped out to greet him wasn't what he expected. No security detail. No handlers. Just Holt herself, gray hair tied back, sleeves rolled, eyes sharp. She looked like someone who hadn't just read history, but had survived its worst chapters. You came in loud, she said, motioning to the truck. That wasn't smart. Mark got out, holding up the flash drive. Had to move fast. They're burning the truth behind us. She led him inside. The cabin was quiet, functional. On the far wall hung a faded Senate Oversight Committee badge. In the corner, 2 shortwave radios buzzed softly. I've been waiting, Holt said. Ever since I saw that spark in Romania. I knew someone would make it here with the real story. Mark slid the drive onto the table. They erased everything else. Signal 7's gone. The documents were called fakes. My name's mud now. Holt picked up the drive, weighing it like a loaded pistol. Your name doesn't matter. What matters is what they buried. And why? She plugged it into a stripped-down laptop. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, just raw metal and code. For the next hour, the only sound in the cabin was scrolling data and Holt's voice reading line after line. EHRI grid, Tier 4 subject susceptibility scoring based on racial trauma triggers. Project CloudVerge, embedding influence prompts in meme trends. Operation Pale Fire, Joint State Department Industry Pilot Project for Emotional Compliance Calibration. Finally, she leaned back. I warned them 10 years ago. They said emotional influence was just advertising. I said you can't market reality without eventually replacing it. They laughed. Mark's voice was low. They're not laughing now. She stood, opened a wooden box under the floorboards, and pulled out a satellite radio the size of a shoebox. This can patch into international media systems. Old school encrypted loop. Still runs through Luxembourg relay stations. No filters. Mark's eyes lit up. We can get the story out. We can get the raw version out. Audio only. If we encode the right burst signal, it'll trigger reception on retired military emergency bands, civilian ham radios, even prison tech. Mark nodded. It's one last shot before they shut the door. But before they could start, Holt's landline rang. That phone had rung only twice in 6 years, she answered. Static. Then a single word, intercepted. She hung up and turned to Mark. They found us. Mark grabbed the drive. Can't stay here. No, she said. We don't need to. The broadcast, it's already live. She turned the laptop to show a time counter. Transmission active 2 minutes, 14 seconds, the satellite radio was glowing. Somewhere, in basements and bunkers and outposts, people were already hearing. Mark's voice reading documents, naming names, explaining algorithms, calling out the silent architecture of manipulation. But it wasn't just about exposure anymore. It was about ignition. A fire started in minds. Back in D.C., emergency briefings had begun. Inside a glass-walled NSA conference room, officials stared at a large screen labeled Operation Containment Wahlberg. Protocol status, global sentiment control. 44% narrative compliance, 38%. Counter-trend momentum. Collapsing, one agent spoke into a headset. Patch and Director Lowell. Lowell's voice came through cold and calm. Has Holt resurfaced? Yes, sir. We believe she's broadcasting from Montana. Then eliminate the node. But, sir, the broadcast is global. We shut her down and we make a martyr. Lowell paused. Then we make him a monster first. Deploy everything. An hour later, #Holt conspiracy began trending. Photoshopped images of Clara Holt with foreign arms dealers flooded Telegram. Videos surfaced of her advocating for regime change and spouting extremist views. Mark's face was again plastered across. Cable news now paired with audio fakes and pixel-spliced video of violent rants he'd never recorded. But it didn't work this time. Oh, something had changed. People remembered the live stream. They remembered the quiet. The facts. The way it had felt real in a way nothing else did anymore. Commenters began digging, sharing, matching metadata. Hashtags flipped. #Wahlberg warning gives #they can't erase us. #Clara Holt. Fake gives #Holt is right.